Hello and welcome to Go Ask Alice, where we go down rabbit holes so that you don't have to. We're three internet friends who are recording from around the world. I'm Drew, and I'm recording from Alexandria, Virginia.
Oh, I'm Lindsay, and I'm broadcasting from Chicago, Illinois.
I love it. And I'm Sara, and I am recording from Melbourne, Australia. So, before we get started, I thought we should do something so we can get to know each other a little bit better, because fun fact, me and Lindsay have met each other once at a conference several years ago, and Drew and I have never met. So, along with just doing what we love best, which is Googling random things and going down rabbit holes, we're actually getting to know each other in front of all of you, which is great fun. So I thought I'd start off this week with, how would someone else describe you? Do you want to go first, Drew?
So, I've had someone describe me as the right kind of weird that isn't creepy, but is fun to be around. And I think that was one of my favorite ways people have described me.
I think that's brilliant. Do you put that on, like, dating profiles or CVs?
I'm sad that I actually do put that on dating profiles.
Lindsay, how would someone describe you?
So, it's a toss-up because I realize that I'm making new friends audibly over audio. So maybe one of my favorites was when Sara told me last week, after not speaking for 2 years, that I must have a thick jawbone because of my voice. But I think my actual favorite is that at the end of a school year, some of my former students told me that I'm like a goth Miss Frizzle.
Oh my God,
good.
that's the best compliment ever.
That's very good.
And what's funny is, like, this student was, like, in her late 30s and had kids. So, it's not even like a passing, like, 19-year-old's comment. This was, like, a well thought out, like, full adult was like, "You're a goth Miss Frizzle."
You're a goth Miss
That's got to be the nicest thing ever.
It was very sweet. I definitely wear it as a badge of honor.
Oh, it's amazing. There's nothing like students to boost your self-esteem. So we should premise with Lindsay and I are astrophysicists, researchers by day.
By day.
And Drew is a forensic scientist.
Yeah. By night.
He's the more serious one. It's amazing.
Oh, no. I totally bring the lowest IQ in this group.
I don't think so. I just
No.
We all just took a shot. I know. That'll not be true. And Sara, what about your favorite way someone's described you?
Right, so I think one of my favorite ways was a student once at the end of, like, the semester in their little review, like the feedback form, they put, "Sara shines as bright as the stars that she studies," which,
oh my God,
I was like, I love you. This is the sweetest thing ever. But my partner would probably describe me as like dog obsessed, dog crazy, because every time I see a dog out in public, I need to meet it, I need to pat it, I want to know its name, I want to know everything about it.
So, Sara, how many times have you had the situation where you immediately see a dog and start talking to it and completely forget that there's a human attached to the dog?
Yeah.
Normally I'm pretty good. Normally I will, like, make sure I ask the human for permission. But sometimes dogs are just so cute, like, especially when they come running over to you. But there's only been a couple of times where I've been like, "Can I pat your dog?" And they've said no. And the devastation that is on my face is, like, I'm shocked. I'm like, oh, but they're a good boy. But yeah, so that's me.
Some people are just so selfish.
What kind of person says no? Like,
I know one of them was like, "Oh, she can be a little grumpy," and I'm like, "I'll get bitten. That's okay. I won't
care.
sue."
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys can't sue in Australia.
No, we are not a suey country, unlike the US. What always cracks me up
Suey
when I go
country.
over there and the TV ads, like every second one is either for, like, a drug. It's like, "Ask your doctor about so and so. Might cause death, but, will make you happy." Or it's like a, do you need a lawyer to sue your neighbor? Like type thing.
It's so true. I like, like when you go back home, if you moved out far away from where you grew up and then like you realize things are different that you totally took for granted.
Yeah.
I noticed once I was in a pizzeria and these kids were fighting and one of them just stopped and was like, I'll sue you.
It's incredible. No, down in Australia, it's more like I'll stab you. At least we're not all stabby, but where I grew up, the train station was like terrifying, and that was a very real situation. Was if you saw people fighting, someone might get injured.
Might get stabbed. You won't get sued, but you'll get stabbed.
Australia.
I never watch people and think, oh my god, one of them's gonna sue the other one. Like I've never.
That's a lawsuit right there.
Anyway, the premise for our podcast is going to be that every week we start out on a particular Wikipedia page. This is all happening behind the scenes where we agree on a Wikipedia page and then we just start clicking on links. And the rule that we have for ourselves is if we find ourselves reading more than 2 paragraphs, we have officially found it interesting. And we then have to finish reading the entire article and write it up to share with everybody else. So pretty much in a nutshell, we all start in the same place and we end up in wildly different places that we have each found interesting. So this
right,
week,
it's like a show and tell, but with no show, just tell.
I did this. I'm not going to show you, but I did it.
So you know what? Actually, before I even reveal where we started, can you guys tally up the number of clicks you've made from our starting point? I'll give you a second.
6.
3, 4, 5.
Oh my god, so I took 9 clicks.
9 clicks. Oh, nothing was impressing you, was it?
Yeah. You're hard to please.
It's all for you guys. I put in that work for you guys.
Oh, I'm excited. Okay, what is this week's rabbit hole? Where are we diving in from?
So we all started on cannibalism, the Wikipedia article for cannibalism. Drew, where did you end up?
So I ended up on the term reciprocal altruism.
Oh my god.
Oh. I ended up on Valentina Tereshkova.
Wow, that is a beautiful name. And I hope she's not problematic, because then I'm going to feel like a dick.
No. I think she's
problematic.
She's not problematic. She's more of a legend.
All right. I also ended up on a female individual. Her name is Elizabeth Charlotte.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
Neither did I. So why don't we do person, concept, person? Maybe that would be a good way to break it up.
A little concept sandwich. I like it.
Yeah, concept sandwich.
Okay, I like it. Who do you want to go first? Is your person a good person or a bad person?
My person's a dick.
Maybe we should start with the dick.
The dick. What would your person throw in rock, paper, scissors, shoot?
My person would throw...
What do you think?
My person would throw scissors, but then physically throw a rock.
Scissors, but surprise.
Pocket sand.
Okay, well,
Pocket sand.
I'm keen. What was her name? Charlotte.
Yeah, okay, so her name
What did Charlotte do?
Her name is Elizabeth Charlotte, Madame Palatine. Or as you know her, Empress Palpatine. No, not really. But I did think that when I first saw it, I was like, holy shit, Empress Palpatine. And then I was like, not at all. That's not why I got stuck. So I'm going to quickly send a little piece of media to you guys, and then we can, share to the broader world. This is why I stayed on this page. I'm going to need from you guys like 2 or 3 adjectives after you see this photo.
Okay.
That's a powerful stare.
Oh, Jesus.
That's like soul. Just looking into your soul.
Oh, she'd be a Karen of like the 18th century, wouldn't she?
Karen of the 18th century.
It looks like a small. Do you know what's amazing? Is just a little bit up in that chat is a photo of Drew as a child, and the stairs. The stairs are so similar.
Oh my god! No! Stop it!
You've got better hair.
What kind of fascinates me is that this is a copper engraving. Like somehow someone captured this emotion in copper.
That's incredible. Good on them.
Yeah.
That would have been terrifying sitting across from that child for several hours.
Like imagine in the restaurant, like this child has like one of those like old person faces immediately. This child looks hundreds of years old.
She does. She looks wise. And you said she's not a great person. What did she do?
She's not right. So, okay, what's equally fascinating about Elizabeth Charlotte, or her name was Lieselotte, so she was German but lived in France. And actually, you nailed it before, Sarah. She's from about the 17th century, like 1600s. So she lived...
I was close.
Yeah, she lived in Versailles, but she was German. So Lieselotte was kind of like her nickname. But what's also so interesting about her is that what really persists is her personality, mostly because she wrote somewhere around 60,000 letters in her lifetime, and 5,000 still remain.
Holy moly. Was she just writing letters to anyone and everyone she could get an address?
I mean, the way I see it is like, imagine if you died and then like 400 years later we have all your text messages.
No, I hate it. I'd come back to life and then die again. That's awful.
Yeah. So what I found most interesting about her was her personality. Also her legacy, which I also thought was equally funny, was that the Palatine, named after like her, I don't know, surname or something, is like this piece of fur that protects your cleavage from the cold.
Boob warmth.
The boob warmer.
And like you kind of feel bad because apparently this was like no big thing to her. Like she just wore this, but then in Versailles, like everyone made fun of her. They're like, you've got these raggy old furs on your boobs. And then like as fate would have it, that winter that she first came over was particularly cold. And so then everyone's like, hey, that's like a good idea.
So this bitch is strutting around with her little, like a fox over her titties. And everyone's like, excuse me, ma'am, where'd you get that from?
The tit slit fox.
Yeah, need me a titty warmer.
So, yeah, Lieselotte was a nickname given to her by her family that kind of combines Elizabeth and Charlotte. And at first I was like, oh my god, that's cute. And then I started reading that her sister was Amelie Elizabeth, and they called her Amelisa. And then her brother was Charles Louise, and they called him like Carlotza. And it just like reminds me so much of like the Midwestern trope of like people just making like really tortured names for their kids that are like Taylor, McCarty, Navy, Maylee, like all kinds of like names smashed together. But okay, Lieselotte. It's like just pick a name. But anyway, she spends kind of her childhood, I guess this is really before she wrote a lot of letters. She's always been a bit of a badass. And at some points she writes like, oh, I wish I was a boy. And like kind of casually, she would just like go visit her grandmother's castle in exile, which I guess was like normal.
Normal back then.
Yeah. And you know, picturesque childhood, in exile, visiting grandma. I'm pretty sure that the Olsen twins did a movie about that, and eventually grows up to marry. I don't know how much of history everybody remembers, but there is Louis XIV, not the one with all the wives, but the one called the Sun King.
Yes.
I'll pretend that I know. Mm-hmm.
The sun. He got the nickname the Sun King because they said that the sun never set on his empire. he conquered a lot of land. So Louis XIV
Super
had
powerful.
a lame younger brother, Philippe. It's spelled like in the French. It's spelled
Philip, pronounced in French.
F. Just call him Phil.
Phil. If you're in
Hey,
Australia,
Phil.
it'd be Philo.
Ooh, I like that one.
So once she marries Phil, things just go like rapidly downhill. So I found
Did she
this.
get married young?
I actually don't know how old she married, but I think what's the most disturbing, honestly, about their marriage is that they were married November 16th. So freeze that in your head for a second. November 16th, they get married. 1671, in the fall. It's beautiful. Except he's not there, and they've never met. And they meet 4 days later on November 20th.
How is that possible? Did someone like forge his signature?
They had like a stand-in human. There was like a wedding, and like he wasn't there, and it was like completely normal. And I just think that this would be the greatest premise for like a rom-com that's like, I was the stand-in at your wedding, and then we fell in love for real.
Oh my god, absolutely. And it would have Jennifer Anderson in it.
Jennifer Aniston, you mean? Okay, whatever.
What did I say?
I thought you said Anderson.
Anderson?
I honestly don't.
It'd have J-Lo. That's easier.
Yeah, there you
J-Lo
go.
in it.
J-Lo.
That's amazing though. How do you even find a fill-in for your wedding?
I feel like
Be like, he looks alright. He'll look good in the photos.
I feel
The copper engravings.
I feel like nowadays you would still see a Craigslist ad that's like, I feel like it's the equivalent of like, come with me to my cousin's wedding, except it's like, I'm like nobility and my husband is too busy to come to my wedding.
Yes. Well, I think you can hire people, right? If you need like a date somewhere.
Yeah, I think that you can hire people to cuddle with you, so probably.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I think I need to look at that service. Sorry, what?
So
Well, I wonder if they liked each other when they finally met. Can you imagine though? There's probably no refunds back then.
Yeah.
Well, so
Definitely no refunds back then.
this is precisely where her life takes a turn for the worse, and also she's an asshole.
Oh dear. Okay, I can't wait. Did she murder her husband?
You've identified the critical point. Not that she cheats on her husband. So they meet.
Okay.
And basically, so we know this like essentially through text to her friends, which are just like letters, right? I don't need to say that, but okay. Through her friends, we learned that she's like, okay, he's not like super ugly, but he's not really attractive either. Oh, but here's the kicker. He is flamboyantly outward, extremely gay.
Oh no.
And she wrote something to the effect of, he loves everything ladies love. I do not believe my husband has been in love in his life.
I mean,
And,
what? I'm sorry, but what did she expect? She married someone that she had never met, and I'm
Probably
guessing it was probably for
family-oriented.
money or for some like family alliance.
right.
I mean, this is probably the best thing that she could hope for is
Like
is
a
a
bestie.
wonderfully gay husband, someone who's not gonna, rape her for 1,000 babies.
Yeah, so, I mean, I agree.
I feel
right?
like this is the ideal situation back in the day.
She's also, so she's like a woman of hobby. Like, she like loves, it's kind of like they switch gender roles, because she like loves hunting, and I know this is very, oh my god, what's the word when you do something you're not supposed to do? Scandalous. But she like doesn't wear face masks when she goes hunting. First of all, women were not supposed to go hunting, but she does not protect her face from the wind when she goes. Like, she just like puts her face in the wind while she's hunting.
Fucking scandal right there.
Scandal. Yeah, but also like she got like
She's out there with the fur over her titties with a gun in her hand. She's terrifying so far.
she's with that like demeanor of of like the Quaker Oats man, but in a small child's body. I forgot to tell you.
That is 1,000% it. She does look like the Quaker Oats man.
She wrote in one letter that she had a bear cat monkey face.
Oh, at least she was self-aware.
At least she knew, yeah.
But so she marries a gay man, and yeah, you would think this is ideal because she's got her own hobbies, and also like in addition to hunting and doing other kind of like traditionally masculine things, she's also into like antique coin collecting, which is fucking baller. But then additionally, she bought 3 of the newest gadget. Would you guys like to guess what the newest technological gadget was?
This was 16? No, 17?
16. Let's say she was married 1671, so let's say late 1600s.
Okay. I have no idea.
What was new tech in late 1600s?
Is it like a horse and cart?
No.
Like a fancy cart?
It's a fucking microscope.
She's a scientist.
That's amazing. She's like a rich old man.
Yes. So you would think this is ideal because it's like, great, I've got this gay husband who stays out of my way and I can just look through my microscope and ride horses all day. But instead, she's bitching about him to her friends. And instead of just writing like, oh, he's gay and that's the end of it, she goes, to really seal the deal, really paint the picture, she goes, he has a small mouth and feminine teeth.
Oh, do you have a photo
and that's
of this
how you
poor
know
man?
he's gay.
Got them feminine teeth.
Oh, this
You can
poor
spot
guy.
a gay man a mile away by his feminine teeth.
Dentists are the ultimate gaydar.
Oh. So immediately I'm like, wow, like she really had a chance there. And she was a dick.
She's awful. Yeah, this poor guy. And I mean, it's not like he had any other choice apart from being married.
Right, exactly.
And pretending to live the expected life, which is so messed up. But this poor guy, his mouth and teeth didn't do anything.
And so then, you could think maybe like, okay, maybe people weren't very woke back then. But we also have from her letters that she's describing the spectrum, the like, like heterosexual to homosexual like spectrum. And she's like, there's people all over that, like, she's like, there's gay, straight, bi, like she's like describing the fucking rainbow. And you're like, wow, wait a minute. So she's like pretty woke. Like she gets it that like gay is a spectrum. And then she says, the world is even worse than you thought.
Girl, you almost had it right until that end bit.
It's like you have it in your hands and just fucking crush it.
Fucking ruined it. Oh my god. She had this like great, like, oh man, really like a
understanding of the
thought,
human condition.
and then just smacked it.
Yep, this beautiful vase that she herself crafted and then smashes it on the ground.
Oh, well, you can tell that she wasn't popular at the gay bar. She didn't have a good time.
She never got picked for karaoke duets.
Yes.
Never got picked. And I feel like this is like another small detail I'd like to add amongst her hobbies is that she was known for walking very fast. Like King Louis XIV was like, that woman fucking walks fast.
She books it.
like other people in Versailles could not keep up with her because she walks so fast.
Oh my god.
So, there's a lot to be entertained by in Versailles, obviously, because she's like walking very fast. But while this is going on, her husband, her mate, Philip, has not just one predominant gay lover, but many gay lovers. And one of them is this character named the Chevalier de Lorraine. And
that sounds fancy.
It does. And this guy is like textbook villain. So he's everyone's very open with their homosexuality. And Philip and the Chevalier have numerous affairs with younger, older men and form this like French nobility woman-hating cult.
How? It all stemmed from his crazy, scary wife.
I don't think that's true. She walks so fast, I just want to hate her with my friends.
Oh my god.
But so they honestly though, this cult was like pretty bad. So they called it a secret homosexual brotherhood, which same, but then they also swear an oath to renounce all women, but then they would go so far as actually inflicting violence on women. So there's like really no good person in the story. It's like up till now you felt bad for the husband because his wife walks so fast, but now you're like, oh, they're like beating women because they have issues.
Wow, they're all very troubled souls, aren't they?
Yes. I'm really sorry to drop this on you, like in a list. Like, by the way. As fast as Charlotte herself. Oh my god, like she must have smelled so bad. But anyway, so drama.
I think everyone back then did.
Drama. Oh wait, okay, we're gonna come back to that. Okay, that's like a Lindsay special. We're gonna come back to that. Okay. So drama really comes to a head where Louis XIV finds out that his son was in the woman-hating cult.
Oh no.
And he's devastated. So I guess back then you don't really like ground your kids, you just send them to war.
Oh Jesus, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So he sends his 16-year-old son to war and he's like super pissed. And the son immediately dies.
Oh.
And Lisa Lotta...
That's got to be some heavy guilt.
Well, you would think for Louis XIV, maybe, but Lisa Lotta is the one who takes it really hard. And she's like, that kid bore his soul to me. Like, we were so close. And they were close enough that she knows who seduced him in the first place.
Oh.
The fucking Chevalier, her husband's boyfriend.
Oh, you don't like the Chevalier because he's a bit of a... That's a bit pedophilic, isn't it?
Yep, exactly. Her husband's boyfriend seduced her nephew.
The king's son.
Yep, into death.
Wow.
So...
And did the Chevalier get punished?
Actually, not that I saw. You kind of... Let's say yes. I have no idea, but let's say yes, because I want him to be punished.
Let's hope he got punished.
I actually didn't see that in the article because it was mostly focused on Lisa Lotta, and I have no interest in giving this asshole
more airtime.
Yeah.
Anymore. Yeah, no more airtime, no more Chevalier.
Yeah, fuck that guy. But anyway, while all of this drama is going on, somehow Lisa Lotta has 3 kids with her gay husband, which is like kind of really fucked up and sad.
Wow. I wonder if they were his kids or if she was
like sleeping around,
getting some on the side.
Well, I don't know if this is an answer to that question, but I noted that it was hilarious that she said to one of her friends, I'm a virgin again because I haven't had sex in 17 years.
Holy shit.
I'm gonna count that as an unofficial born again. 17 years, that's a long time. Yeah, so I guess she was faithful, and then like her husband died before her, and she really did him a solid by burning all of his gay love letters, which I guess would have been scandalous if they were found, or at least like tabloids would have found them. So like I think she did right by him, and I think that she just like really wanted kids. Late in her life, apart from walking really fast, her life gets sadder and sadder. And like, just because I don't want to be a downer, like just remember she's a dick, because the story's about to get really sad. So her
kids start getting married off by Louis XIV to his, as she calls them, double bastard children. I don't know how that's possible. But basically, the king starts using her children to make his illegitimate children legitimate. So she's sad about that. And to make matters worse, when you're like low and you're sad, you have like a low immune system. And what happens next? She contracts smallpox.
Oh no.
And
I feel like that was so Australian. Oh no.
Oh no, but she's a dick though, so it's okay.
she,
Plus, back in the day,
Yeah, true.
no vaccines.
she contracts smallpox, and you think this is the end, but no. Instead, the king and everybody in the palace immediately ditch her so that they don't get it too.
This is like the ye old days where they would like lock you in your house and put like a red X.
Yeah. She was like, exactly. She was like shunned for having smallpox.
Banished.
But she overcame it. But
Good on
at a
her.
price, she then became so overweight that it, quote, interfered with her walks.
No, she lost her speed.
But she continued to hunt. This is my favorite part. She continued to hunt, but only mounted horses that were big and strong enough to carry her weight. Those poor fucking horses.
Oh,
Those
those
poor
poor horses. They probably had like their eyes bulged out when they saw them coming. Like, oh, fuck.
Oh no.
Oh, this poor girl.
Gotta go fast.
How mean are they though? Back then, they had to get her big, strong horse.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, what if she needed them? I don't know.
But so like it's somewhere around this time that she's got smallpox, overcoming it, overweight, stocky horses. Her husband does die. This is very dramatic. He dies after a heart attack after an argument with his brother, which just, Jesus Christ.
Oh, wow.
Passion right there.
Oh, no. I wonder what they were fighting about.
I know, I couldn't find it. I really want to know. I hope it was boring. But
Oh, me too. Otherwise, it's just, it's not ironic anymore. It's just sad.
Yeah, there you go.
so now that her husband's dead, the first thought on her mind is, fuck, I might get sent to a convent. Because apparently, even though she's like in her 70s at this point, or she's like late on in life, like there was something in their marriage contract that basically said if she's by herself, she gets sent to a marriage convent. So she had a falling out.
What's a marriage convent?
I'm sorry?
Is this like a nunnery?
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, I think I misspoke. Yeah, a convent like a nunnery. Sorry.
Right, but just because her husband died, that seems a bit brutal. She might not want to be married to the Lord.
Yeah, no, like, I don't, like, maybe God needs fast walkers, but, like, she's very, like, independent. Like, I don't know. That was really the ultimatum, was, like, either be married to a gay man or, like, join a convent. And at this point, she really didn't want to join a convent, so she goes back to Louis XIV, and she's like, I know I was mad at you for marrying off my children to, like, your children, but, like, let's make good. And Louis XIV at the time was married to this woman that Liselotte, like, fucking hated. And when I say hated, like, circle back to the fact that she wrote a lot of letters. Like, what would any of us do when we hate someone? We would fucking text our best friend about it and be like, I hate this bitch. Here's all the shit she said, like, whatever. That's exactly what Liselotte did about Louis XIV's wife.
Amazing.
She wrote all over Europe shit-talking this woman.
Oh, no.
And so when she comes back to Louis XIV, she's like, hey, I know that we haven't been great, but I don't want to be in a convent. The wife steps in and goes, by the way, I read your text.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Kicks her out of the palace.
Not only that, though, but she read them out loud to courts all over Europe.
Just did a speaking tour of her trashy letters.
Here's this woman who was shit-talking me, and here's everything she said about me. So I would have been mortified, but I have no idea how, but somehow at the end of this, Liselotte is allowed to live with them, but really at arm's length. I have no idea what negotiations happened, but, like, That's like the kind of shit, like, you know, like when you're watching reality TV, everyone goes out drinking and there's a fight, and then the next morning it's like really tense at breakfast.
Yes, that's their entire life.
Yeah, like that's what I imagine every day. Like everyone is just hung over and like on the verge of like that like background sound that happens before a fight on MTV. That like dramatic, like, I don't know. Zoom in on everyone's face.
Zoom in on her Quaker face.
Everyone's face.
She's just glaring at the wife, looking at her and said, "I wrote what I wrote."
I did this.
So, yeah, so she basically is like, okay, I'll like live here at arm's length. And she and King Louis are both like so old and fat that now when they go hunting, they can't even use like stocky horses. They now just straight up have to get pulled in a carriage, which I like don't. Anyway, so that's like I wanted this story to be through the lens of hunting and horseback riding to show this woman's life, I guess.
Show the progression.
Yeah, you've seen really the different the different stages of how fat she gets. And finally at the end, like, Versailles is kind of like not a thing anymore because she outlives Louis XIV and Versailles gets packed up ready for his son to take over later. So she goes and lives with one of her kids. And I just love that to the end, she's such an asshole because she's still like living in a palace, but she wakes up, and this is what I promised we would get back to, like the smell thing. Like, as a person like Lindsay, I am fascinated with like potty humor and like ancient toilets. Like, I love the history of going to the bathroom.
Oh my god, you'd be so fun to do like an ancient Roman and Greek tour with. Be like, excuse me, sorry, I need to see where they chat. Show me the toilets.
I would, oh my god, like I just want to know how people did that on a day-to-day basis. Like I really am so fascinated, and I think potty humor is very funny. Anyway, I know that's like very stereotypically American. But
poo-poo.
Yeah, like, to me, that's so funny. I don't remember what you said about high IQs in the beginning, Drew, but oh my god, pee-pee poo-poo is so funny. But anyway, so we get to the end. The final scene of Lieselotta's life is that she's in some nice palace with one of her kids, and she just complains that the air in Paris sucks and the entire palace smells like empty night chairs and chamber pots, and it's haunted by her old marriage. And just like, what a scene to fade out. And like, I didn't know what night chairs were. Does anyone know what a night chair is?
No, you might have to explain to the class here.
Okay, so apparently, you know, chamber pots are like, you know, where you go to the bathroom, like those like, you know, metal bedpans. But in the middle of the night, I guess people couldn't be trusted to aim properly. So a night chair is just literally shitty chair with a hole in the bottom so that you can aim in the middle of the night into your chamber pot.
In your bedroom too.
Yes.
Oh my god.
In your bedroom.
No.
I'm just imagining one of my grandma's chairs just like with a hole cut in the middle of it.
Like in the wicker.
Yes. Like one of those like dinner chairs that has like the nice padding around it, and there's just a hole in the middle of it that's just like covered in poop.
Yeah, you can just leave it at the dining room table. Just go. But anyway,
just go.
We leave Lieselotte in a shitty smelling Parisian palace, and we fade to black, and there's just the lingering stench of chamber pots and night chairs in the Parisian air. And, you know, I'd like to say in sum that I would not have been friends with this woman, but I'm 20% glad she existed.
I think that's
Wow.
a great summary.
Thank you.
Wow.
She sounds a bit miserable to be around. But I mean, what a life. She's basically royalty. And all she does is bitch about her life in letters.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's what Meghan Markle does now.
Why do I feel like she just like texts Michelle Obama?
Be like, you won't believe this shit.
But yeah, thank you for listening to my rant about Lisa Lotta, Madame Palatine.
Thank you for giving it. I enjoyed it. And she's still staring at me on my computer screen. She's looking into my soul.
I know you got my siblings, Maylee, Lakeland, and Taylor right behind you. Anyway.
Oh my God. Wow, that's a story. That's a story and a half right there. That's
So
like
I gotta ask, what did you click to get to her from Cannibalism?
Yeah, how?
Right. That's how this started. So interestingly, I clicked on gait, like GAIT, like the walk.
Like a walk, yeah.
Oh,
Because
I guess she had a good gait
Well, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
with her speed walk.
Holy shit, I didn't put that together. I just liked it because there was a gif of an elephant, and I was like, cool.
Cool.
So neat. But I wandered all over the place. I got into some weird philosophy, and then I saw the Edict of Nantes, and I was like...
Edict of Nantes, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, remember that? And then when I was there was a painter, Hyacinth Rigaud, who's actually a man. And I clicked on his page, and I thought, wait, this could be really interesting. I'm going to look at the full range of paintings in his Wikipedia article and pick the one that stands out noticeably. And there was a clear distinction with Lisa Lotta's picture. It was like so much more sultry and full of attitude in her portrait. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, this is going to be a good person. And like, sure enough, that's what it was.
I love that. I love that you picked it from her sass in her
just a picture.
18th century, 17th century painting.
Yeah. She was definitely at the age in that picture painting when she would have needed like the bulky horses. Like, it was late in life, but she still had her self-respect about her enough to be like, paint my picture.
Yeah, paint it.
Yeah. So that's this individual that lived at this time. I would love to hear about Drew's wild journey.
Yeah. What was your topic again, Drew?
Reciprocal altruism.
Yes, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, that's a lot of syllables.
I will take you on a little journey. This is the journey that I took. So I started at cannibalism and went to sibling rivalry. And then from sibling rivalry to parent-offspring conflict. Then from parent-offspring conflict to parental investment. The man Robert Trivers. And Robert Trivers, I ended up with reciprocal altruism because he actually came up with the term. And so he's an evolutionary biologist, and that was super cool. And I actually thought about doing my little tip-tap type report on him, but I thought the idea that he put out was actually not cooler than him, but kind of cooler than him. You know what I mean? So the actual, not like a full definition of it, but it's basically when one animal, I'll just say animal at this point, one animal lowers their fitness to help another animal out, and then the receiver of that in return does the same for the donor of the I'll just call it like donor and the recipient. So the donor lowers their physical fitness to help the receiver, and then later, at a later date, the receiver ends up doing something similar for the donor. So it's like it's basically tit for tat kind of altruism.
Basically like a Lindsay Lohan in Mean Girls scenario where she pretends to not be good at math.
I wish I understood that reference. I've seen Mean Girls, but I wish I understood that reference more. It's It's more like...
I think that's nailing it.
I'm disseminating to the masses.
Oh my god, I'm sad that I don't get that reference that much. Like,
there's this like hot guy who's bad at math, but she's really good at math. So she's like, I'm gonna pretend to be bad at math so that we can be bad at math together. And then I think he like tutors her. Is that right?
I think so. And he's not a smart boy, but he's a pretty boy. And then she ends up winning the... What is it, like the little... It's like almost like a buzz competition. Like where they...
The mathletes or something.
The mathletes? Yeah, I wish I understood that reference more.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, that's fine. Like, it's I don't know. To me, so, like, the idea of reciprocal altruism was just kind of nuts that it exists in nature.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's nuts that something would... in a survival situation, reduce its physical fitness to help something else out, like to help another animal, like completely unrelated. It could be even different species out, and that's what was like completely nuts to me. You know what I mean?
Do you have a favorite example?
I have 4 favorite examples.
Oh, yes.
So,
does any involve dogs?
No, sorry,
Okay.
none of them involve dogs.
How about octopi?
I love octopi.
No, none of them involve octopi. I'm sorry. I wish it was octopi. I love octopi as well. But like the thing that kind of made me think about this a lot was it's a common idea in game theory, and that felt super heady to me. And then it's just like that exists in nature, this like heady idea of, tit for tat. I hate that. Tit for tat is gross to me. I just hate that phrase. Like the you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back mentality. That's used in game theory, and that actually exists in nature. And they brought up the example. Yeah?
Can I ask a dumb question?
Go for it.
What is game theory?
Game theory is basically the idea of like gamifying, I would call it gamifying the human condition, kind of just like trying to put ideas behind why people do shit. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So like the prisoner's dilemma, they brought up the example of the prisoner's dilemma that after a long enough period, you could actually end up with altruism from both parties because, if you keep on failing, you might end up being like, hey, why don't we just, actually cooperate and not screw each other over? And so that kind of idea was just like, oh, okay, I could kind of see how this would develop in nature. And then I looked at some examples. I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense. So the first thing I want to do before we get into this is kind of provide a good, solid definition.
Okay.
Because, I feel like a term needs a definition. And so Christopher Stevens, who studies the philosophy of biology, which is like another nuts topic to me, provided 4 conditions for reciprocal altruism. And so 1 is the behavior must reduce the donor's fitness relative to a selfish alternative. 2, the fitness of the recipient must be elevated relative to the non-recipient. 3, the performance of the behavior must not depend on receipt of immediate benefit. And 4, conditions 1, 2, and 3 must apply to both individuals engaging in reciprocal helping. So basically, the donor has to kind of suffer, the recipient has to, benefit, and it has to not have like a direct benefit to the person who's actually donating their fitness, basically.
Yeah.
And
it's
so
not like they're going to get like a free meal.
Yeah, exactly.
Out of it.
So
Awesome.
The first example that I looked into is cleaning fish. So basically,
are these like the little
Yeah,
fish on the sharks?
Yeah. So this is a small fish that cleans a larger fish by eating all the crap that accumulates on the larger fish. And by crap, I don't mean actual crap. I mean just like a bunch of stuff. And so typically this is viewed as a symbiosis and not a reciprocal altruism. And, you could say, oh, you're breaking rule number 3. You're getting an actual benefit. But there is actual reciprocal altruism in this example. So the host fish allows the cleaner fish free entrance and exit and does not eat the cleaner fish after the cleaning is done. And the host actually sometimes chases off possible dangers to the cleaning fish. So in this example, the host is actually the donor, because what's happening is the host not only has to leave their environment, but the host also has to, defend these fish and has to let them, clean and then not eat them directly afterwards, because he could just be like, oh, cleaning's done, boom, you're done, I'm gonna eat you now, because these fish literally like swim inside of them.
Yeah, they go inside their mouth, don't they?
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost like if you were to go to the dentist.
Yeah.
I feel like,
and then eat your dentist.
Yeah, eat your dentist, but then your dentist
bite his fingers off.
chases away someone trying to kill you.
Yeah, if your dentist chased away someone trying to kill you. Exactly, yeah.
It'd be a very, very stressful dentistry.
How about, I feel like I'm having an easier time imagining that if it's more of like a dental hygienist leprechaun that can like fit in your mouth a little bit easier, carry around, and then like you spit it at people, attackers.
I don't think the donor fish spit the other fish, but so the cleaning itself is actually essential to the host. So like if the leprechaun were essential to you, like you needed him to do it, because in the absence of cleaners, the host suffers from infections.
He's also my accountant.
Yeah. Get the IRS
leprechaun
on you.
accountant.
Done.
So,
next question.
So basically the host will come to the same area for cleaning every time, and so these cleaners basically set up a little spot where they clean all the host fish, and
A little fish wash.
Yeah, a little fish wash. And so that's just a little tiny example of a little altruism from both sides. And the host fish gets a meal, and not the host fish, the cleaning fish gets a meal, and the host fish ends up getting cleaned. And so typically that's viewed as a symbiosis, but the chasing off of dangers, and also the basically the cleaning fish stay in the same area to meet up with the host fish later. Mm. And so that's actually a reduction in their their fitness. Yeah. And so basically they're both sacrificing for each other to end up with this cute little relationship that they have. And so that's a little bit of what this reciprocal altruism is all about.
That's adorable.
Yeah, it's really cute. And
what other examples did you find? Any furry, fluffy, cute little animals?
Birds cute?
Yes, birds are cute.
Okay, so in birds, there's warning calls. So when a bird spots a predator, it puts out a warning call, and it's like basically like, oh shit, there's a guy, he's gonna hunt us. And so that's considered altruism because it puts a big target on your back. You're basically,
Of course, they're like
you're
yelling
shouting,
that I'm here.
Yeah, you're shouting, I'm here, but also, you're alerting everyone. It's like shouting, oh shit, a gun. Like, that's the first person who's going to get shot.
Or a ghost.
Oh shit, a ghost.
Well, I'm just saying, if you say there's a ghost, and everyone's going to be like, holy fuck, there's a ghost, and the ghost is going to look at you like, what the fuck?
Dude, what the fuck? Why would you let me, why would you make everyone aware of me?
Why would you blow my cover? Exactly.
I'm just existing here. I'm not haunting.
Yeah, exactly. I'm right here. Come on. It's like going to a party with a ghost, and the ghost is just like hanging out with you, and you're like, oh shit, a ghost. And everyone's like, what the fuck, dude? He's been with us for like an hour.
Yeah, like be chill, man. Like,
be chill.
Yeah, don't look at him. He's no different to us.
So the warning calls actually it prevents the birds, other birds from being eaten. And kind of the cool part about this is that, whenever one bird spots a predator, it will, let out the warning call. And the reason why this warning call is, truly altruism is it prevents the predators from getting experience in hunting in that locality and that species. And so you end up increasing the fitness of everyone by putting out these calls because you're not letting the predators get experience, which is just like, it's nuts to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're like docking experience points from like the cougar or the leopard or whatever is trying to get them.
Yeah, because it can't hunt in that locale and it can't hunt that species, so it doesn't gain experience in either one. And there were studies that showed that hunters get better at hunting specific species and in specific localities if they keep on doing it and are able to do it successfully.
I love birds. They're so smart, aren't they?
Yeah, it was just nuts to me that, you know, they put out this call and like put a target on their back, but also, you know, at the end of the day, it helps everyone survive better because you're not letting the predators gain experience.
I think what I love about this concept is that it's basically like science proof of friendship.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so cute. It's like fish and birds.
Scientific proof of goodness.
Yeah.
Goodness in the world.
Like, they love each
I don't know
other.
if they do. I don't know if I'd trust most humans in that type of situation. Like, I don't know. I like to see the good in all humans, but then you hear of like some pretty awful stories of people. Like, it's very, like, when you get that fight or flight response, some people are all for one and not one for all. I was trying to think of the right expression.
None for all.
All for me.
None for all. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's kind of like I can't imagine a bird just being like, "Oh, panther, gotcha." Like, you know, like it's the
surprise! Oh, fooled ya.
April Fools. Yeah,
April Fools. Wasn't a panther.
Yeah, like I only see them looking out for each other. I don't know. Maybe we're all just like very idealistic, but I think that's very sweet.
I think so too.
To me, it was kind of a bit of like, you know, that there's fairness in the universe. That it's just like, you know, I help you out, you help me out. That just like, it feels so fair. And then, but to see that in nature in a survival situation kind of was just like, oh, that's super nice. You know, like people don't do that. Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah. So the next example I looked at, vampire bats, actually.
What? I love bats. I think bats are some of the coolest evolution to ever happen. They're amazing.
Yeah, right?
That's high praise.
Yeah.
Oh, I give them all of my seals of approval. They're incredible.
They're very cute.
They are.
I didn't know vampire bats die after 70 hours of not eating. So if they don't find a blood source after 70 hours, they die. And so if a bat is unable to find a steady source of food, other bats around them will regurgitate blood for them so that they can survive.
Oh.
And
that's so sweet.
And the thing that I noticed that was very surprising to me is that it didn't mention anything about relatedness of the bats. It was purely just, you know, hey, you're in trouble. I'm going to regurgitate blood so that you can, you know, you can survive because we're all in this ridiculous time clock.
Oh my God, that is so sweet. Why is there not a Disney movie about that?
Probably because it's bats regurgitating blood. Really.
I would watch it as a child. I think that's a great concept.
That's so sweet. And I love that it's like, you want a little snack, hon?
And the interesting part was actually the ones that regurgitate blood are helped in the future. So if they don't find blood, there's like other bats will help them out. And so it's all like a nice big colony because, you know, they would all help each other out in the future. So it's a little bit of, I mean, that's what reciprocal altruism is all about, is that, you know, it's this delayed response and they would get, you know, help in the future if they didn't find any blood. And that was just super nuts to me because it felt like such a huge cost to the donor. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, they're helping each other survive. And that was just super cool to me.
So how do the bats know when the other ones are hungry? Like, are they just keeping tabs on when everybody eats, or are there like signs that you're hungry?
Did you eat? Oh, did you?
Like
No,
at your grandmother's house. It's like, have you eaten enough,
Yeah.
honey? Eat more.
It's probably like a specific call that they have that they put out. I didn't really see anything specifically about how they signal that they haven't eaten, but I would assume it's like a specific call, like, oh shit, I'm hungry and going to die, help me.
Yeah.
And so that's
Like their little tummies rumble.
yeah.
It's exactly
There you
what
go,
it
a
sounds
little
like.
bat noise for you. And then the final example that I looked at was grooming in primates. So it goes all the way up. And so this was studied in vervet monkeys.
Yeah.
And it showed that when one monkey engaged in grooming, there was a higher chance that the other monkey that had been groomed would attend their call for help.
Oh, wow.
So if you groom me, I am much more likely to come and respond to your call for help, which inherently is like sacrificing a lot of your physical fitness. Sorry.
Yeah.
What is this? Presidential physical fitness. This is like your fitness by, attending someone who's calling for aid, because that could be, danger. It could be anything.
Yeah.
And the grooming kind of, it's like a social thing where if one monkey were to groom another monkey, then they're way more willing to actually not sacrifice themselves, but are much more willing to come to their aid if they need, if they put out the call for help. And that was, I don't know, I thought it was a very cute example to end on as,
Yeah. Do they have to be related in the same family?
No, it's not at all.
Wow.
They're, this is actually not, this was shown in non-relatives, which was even more nuts to me. All of this was non-relatives, and that was like super nuts to me.
That is so sweet.
That's insane. Why is my stupid brain like that's Catholic guilt? That one monkey sacrificed for my sins, so now I'm gonna go kill myself fighting for them.
Did you go to a Catholic school?
I was raised Roman Catholic.
That'll do it.
Oh my goodness. I wasn't raised Roman Catholic, but I went to a Catholic school, and I absolutely have that weird Catholic guilt embedded
Right?
in my psyche.
I'm putting myself in the monkey's shoes, monkey's paws. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I see the monkey who groomed me in trouble. And I'm like, wow, I'm a piece of shit. I don't deserve to live because he's about to die and he groomed me.
Oh.
He groomed me.
He groomed me.
Imagine if that's how you felt about your hairdresser.
Oh my God, yeah. So,
Oh my God. And then those I see a full scene of like those alerting birds as like the drummer boys, like we've got like a whole like guild army. There's like, the little bird drummer boys and my hairdresser at the front line, and like everybody's like mouth leprechauns jumping out and like filling in the spaces.
we have reached peak peak altruism.
That magical scene in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can also edit that out.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, so the one thing that I didn't mention, because it wasn't really mentioned too much in the Wikipedia article, was there's a mechanism in all of these for detecting cheaters.
What?
And so every single one of these has a mechanism.
Is that what the appendix is for?
Detecting cheaters.
Oh my goodness.
But reciprocal altruism couldn't exist if there wasn't a way to detect cheaters, because the cheaters would just take
Like
advantage
people
of it.
rotting the system.
Yeah, exactly. It would be not people, but animals in this scenario
Yeah.
would be abusing the system.
But people.
And God, that sounds horrible. People would be people would abuse the system of altruism, and therefore like evolution wouldn't have reciprocal altruism be a thing, because it's it would be so like it would be
damaging.
so, what's the word for it? Favored against, I guess is the word for it. And
What Sarah said, damaging.
yeah, exactly, damaging. That's the one.
So how did they figure out who's rorting the system? Is it the guy who's always taken the blood and then flying off to another location?
So the bats, they didn't really talk about too much about the cheaters themselves, but it didn't seem like bats cheated. It didn't, like, from what I read, it seemed like they were just kind of cool with each other, and like,
it's because they are literal angels on Earth and people judge them too harshly.
yeah, there you go. Vampire bats are angels. I like it.
They are.
And the final thing that the article talked about was altruistic systems and humans, like a little bit. They didn't really go too much into it.
Yeah.
Because they said, and I quote, "It's a sensitive and unstable system."
Yep. Can agree with that.
Because they talked about how friendship and emotions of liking and disliking will affect it, moralistic aggression towards people who cheat, the gratitude and sympathy, guilt and reparative altruism, subtle cheating, trust and suspicion, and then they talked about partnerships. And all this stuff just kind of makes reciprocal altruism even more complex. And it was just very, they didn't go too much into it, but because there's a whole other page purely on human reciprocal altruism or just human altruism. And it was just very interesting that they really made a distinction between the animal's altruism and then human altruism. And so I thought that was a good little cap off that, humans have separated ourselves because we're more dicks than animals are.
That's what should be written in the biology textbooks.
Humans are dicks,
This is where humans separated from all of the other animals. They're assholes.
We're assholes.
That's, what's kind of amazing to me about the whole thing is that in a way you can, like what you're describing is such a relatable way of thinking, like truly a mode of thinking where it brings up past memory, it brings up cause and effect, it brings up emotion, and maybe that's what separates humans. But it's kind of amazing that, like, this is a universally shared experience between fish and birds and monkeys and and human. Like, it's just amazing that this is a way that we can all relate in such a way that I find emotional. Like, I never would have thought that really...
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, again, Disney movie. They need to get on it.
About the bats regurgitating blood for each other.
Altruism for the ages.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I would watch it.
Some kind of musical number about, regurgitating for each other.
If only something rhymed with regurgitate, then regurgitate. No, I can't think of anything.
Monkeys, spate.
Oh my god.
TM.
Yeah.
TM. There you go. Yeah, so that's reciprocal altruism. And,
that makes me feel good inside.
That was such a good feeling story. Thank you.
No problem.
That was a really, really, really... I can't help but look back at fucking Empress Palpatine and be like, where did that go in you? Where did that go wrong?
Yeah, where was your altruism?
Where's your altruism?
Yeah. Fucking bear monkey cat.
Bear
monkey cat lady.
Yeah. Chili boob bitch.
Chili boob. That's going to become my new insult. You chili boob bitch.
Yes. I love it. Well, my woman should help make up for some of the not niceness of what was her name? Charlotte.
Yeah. I want to ask you directly. Oh, could you tell us about? But I don't remember her name already.
So my person is Valentina Tereshkova, and that is the only time I'm going to say her last name because I'm just going to butcher it if I don't listen to Google pronouncing it every time. So
let's call her Val.
Val, yeah.
Yeah, good old Val. Well, Val, or Valentina, I got to her because I was doing just some random clicking. I started from cannibalism. I went to the wood frog because I love frogs. Along with bats, I love frogs. And apparently wood frogs, this is just a random fascinating fact that I thought everyone should know, is that they're in a study when they took like tadpole wood frogs, the ones that were cannibals and ate their siblings grew up stronger and faster and just overall more healthy than the ones who did not.
Oh, hell yeah.
So I thought that was kind of fascinating and terrifying.
That's so metal.
Yeah, it's metal.
Yes. Absolutely, metal frogs. So that's kind of where my rabbit hole began, and I was clicking around, and they're found in Alaska, and then the Alaska was, I was going to say colonized, but it's not colonized. They were invaded by the Russians because there were already native indigenous people living in Alaska. So the Russians came over. And then when I got to the Russians, I could not stop reading about the Soviet space program because I am an astrophysicist and I bloody love space. And one of my favorite things about the Soviet space program was how kind of not vindictive, but how both them and the Americans it was literally like tit for tat. They were just trying to one-up each other continuously, which actually led to the first woman going to space, which I thought was really, really cool. So my Valentina, Val, she is the first woman and still the only woman to have done a solo space mission.
Oh.
Which I thought was pretty awesome.
Okay. So where did she go?
Space.
So I'll give you a brief overview of her.
Space is
life,
big, Drew.
It is real big. She didn't go very far, but she went further than I'll ever go. So she was born in 1937, and she's still alive today. She's still alive and still sitting in the House of Federal Assembly of Russia. So she's still a parliamentarian, which I thought was amazing considering she's 84.
Yeah.
And in my notes, I've written just absolute bloody legend. Just
jot that down. Yeah. Note taken.
She was one of 3 children, and her childhood started a little bit sad. So when she was 2, her father was part of World War II, and when he went away, he ended up dying in World War II. So it was just her mother and the 3 children, which I thought was heartbreaking. And then to be able to earn money and survive, her mother moved from where they were living closer to a bigger village. And this is kind of where Valentina began her education. So she started school officially at 10 and graduated at 17. So bitch on a mission, like, that's amazing. She crammed all of those school years in, and especially back in the ye old days where education for women was not a priority.
Wait, so did she not go to school until she was 10, or was it like on and off kind of thing?
No, it looks like she didn't go to school until she was 10.
So was she like the oldest sibling? Like, did she have to take care of her brother or siblings?
No, I think she might have been either the youngest or the middle child. I'm not sure why she didn't go to school until 10. Maybe they didn't have access or ability, but she was able to complete it all by the time she was 17.
That's amazing.
And then she started working in a tire factory and a textile mill, and then she realized, no, I want to be educated. So she was doing like a distance education for like a higher education degree, which was awesome. But this is where she starts to get into her hobbies, which bring her to eventually going to space. So she decided that skydiving looks pretty cool.
Oh my god,
I'm gonna start skydiving. And this is in the 50s and 60s, where I feel like even now I have anxiety, but jumping out of a plane just seems bloody terrifying. I don't want to do that ever.
It also just like never occurred to me that pastime, if we want to call it that, had been invented by then. Like, how long after the invention of the airplane were people like, oh, I'm going to jump
eating
out of
themselves
this.
out. Exactly. And who thought of that? Who was like, give it a go. I'll take a sheet. What could go wrong?
Yeah, like I think that's the real underlying question is how long did it take before people were like, that would be really fun?
Yes. Well, so she joined a whole club. There was a whole club of people who just jumped out of planes for fun as a hobby. And the coolest thing is that she kept it a secret from her family while she was doing all of her like parachuting training.
Oh my God.
Complete secret from her family, which I thought was just incredible.
Very badass, like sneaking out in the middle of the night to go jump out of planes.
Yes. Like there's a huge secret to hide from your family.
Yeah.
I don't know.
How do you come home like shaking with adrenaline and then you're like, Mom, I'm just at the library. I love Coleridge.
Exactly.
Oh. 1797 was the first skydiver.
How is that possible?
I don't know.
When was the plane invented? Not until
Like 1914-ish?
He jumped off of a building, I do believe.
Well, the buildings wouldn't have been very tall back then, so did he survive?
A jump of 2,000 feet, or maybe it was a balloon. No, it was a balloon.
That makes more sense.
Oh, skydiving from a balloon.
Yeah, skydiving
Somehow-
off of a balloon.
Like, I realize that that's like, you know, comparable, but somehow that seems like the weenie version. I don't know why that seems so much more like... Okay, whatever.
He died in a construction accident because he was hit by a wooden beam while making a balloon.
Oh,
Oh my
this
God.
poor guy making the balloon he wanted to jump out of, probably. Well, back to not dying while jumping out of a plane.
Right.
She obviously survived all of her jumps, and while she was young, she was a member of like the Communist League and Communist Party for Russia. I should mention she was Russian,
Right.
so I guess that was just normal back then. And so under her career, I've written that she didn't set out to become a spacewoman, and mainly because back in the ye olde days, they hadn't really thought of women being able to be an astronaut or a cosmonaut, because, you know, sexism and misogyny.
Right.
But it wasn't until it was in 1961 that the Americans had, someone from NASA had spoken to a tabloid and had mentioned that they were going to be the first ones to send a woman to space. And so naturally, the Russians were like, fuck that. We're going to be the first ones to send a woman to space. And so the quote that they gave was, "We cannot allow that the first woman in space be an American. This would be an insult to the patriotic feelings of the Soviet woman." And so, yeah, they felt very strongly about it. And so,
I feel like that's so much more progressive.
yeah,
You know, like it's for the dignity of like
of the women.
the Soviet woman.
Yeah, I thought that. And I was like, wow, I guess. And so then I did a quick Google to be like, were they super progressive? And no, not really. But
Oh shit.
they did want the patriotic feelings of the Soviet women to remain intact. I was just going to say, so with that, they said that they were going to take 5 women for the next group of the cosmonauts. And then to ensure that the women were going to make it to space, they actually began training them before the male astronauts, which I thought was kind of cool. Mm-hmm. But I thought I'd just read you some criteria to see if you could have been an astronaut woman back in the day, or you too, Drew, if you want. But this is the criteria to apply to being a cosmonaut in the 1960s.
I'm a lady.
Yeah, Drew, pretty lady.
Pretty lady. So you've got to be a parachutist, which...
Okay, I'm already out.
Yeah, me too. You have to be under 30, which, ding ding, I make it.
Barely.
Barely. And then this last one, this one gets me. You have to be under 70 kilos and under 5'7", which I'm a little heavier than 70 kilos. I mean, I haven't been 70 kilos since I was a year little lady.
So I'm under 5'7", but I have no idea what I weigh in kilos, in pounds, in stones. I have no fucking clue.
Well, I think that's how it should be. We shouldn't care about how we weigh.
Yeah, amen. Thank you.
It's good. Actually, my partner has hidden the scales from me because they are just stupid numbers, which they are. But I thought in the comparative, like I did a quick like little BMI, like if you are 5'7" and 70 kilos, like that is super duper tiny. It seems a little...
Is it like you're a bird?
Basically, you're a burb.
Oh, shit. So just unreasonable.
Well, I think it depends on your height, but if you are 5'7", that it feels very fragile, like if you're jumping out of a plane. But nonetheless, the next bit, which I thought was incredible. Out of all of this criteria, 400 people applied and met the criteria. So there were 400 women
Wow.
who were parachutists and met all the weight and height and stuff criteria. I'm just amazed.
That blows my mind.
I know that 400 people were qualified parachutists. It must have been a pretty lit hobby back in Russia.
Right, like in this small conversation, I've gone from like my prior before coming into all of this was like nobody was a parachuter in like the mid 1900s, and now it's like there are 400 of them, and they all look like birds.
They're all birds in disguise.
Yes. So from the...
Sorry, Drew, how many do you check off on this list?
1.
Under 30?
Under 30, you got it.
We did it.
Oh, why was I like, oh, he's definitely a parachuter?
Oh, yeah, that's it. Lindsay, we're the same
I know,
age.
that's the thing. Your birthday is like right after mine. Fuck. So it's funny. It's funny because people, whenever they hear like what I study, they're like, "Oh, so do you want to be an astronaut?" And I'm like, "Fuck no!" Like you could never, ever. You could not pay me enough to go to space. I would never fucking do that. I don't even like flying in a plane.
No, I'm 1,000% the same. Especially that you're sitting your ass atop a glorified missile and just hoping that everything goes okay. And actually, the biggest reason why I would never be an astronaut, and this might be controversial, you can't wash your hair properly in space.
Oh my god, I didn't even think of that.
Oh, I'm the type of person who washes my hair every day, which I know is bad for it, but I can't, it soothes my soul.
Well, yeah, like that's a whole other practical aspect. Like I've gotten seasick from a kayak.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
So like I don't think that I could survive in space.
No. You'd need a lot of vomit bags.
I also just like I feel like it's like the detriment of knowledge. Like I know, or I can conceive of like every fucking way that something could go wrong and what would happen as a result. And I just spend the whole time thinking about every way I could possibly die.
Yeah, no, I think I could do it, but I would need to be very heavily medicated with anti-anxiety drugs.
Right.
I'd need to be zonked out of my mind.
Yeah, if I was completely unconscious, I could do it.
Yeah.
If my body could do it.
Send my body up. My body could do it, my brain could not.
Yeah, just send my soul to heaven.
Okay, so out of all of those applicants, they picked 5 women who would go through all of the training, and good old Val, our girl, she was one of them. And for the first woman to go to space, Valentina got picked because she had a good propaganda story, because she was a daughter of a farmer who was killed in the Winter War, but she was rising above that and becoming a woman to go to space. She was rising above that. So, all about the propaganda.
Wow. They were planning the Wikipedia article even then.
Yes, exactly. They had some great PR people.
Yeah. So when was her first flight?
June 14th. Okay, so the big day that she went up into space was June 14th.
Oh my God.
Wait,
but what
I
year?
lied. It was June 16th. 1963. So it was two years after the Americans had announced that they were going to train women astronauts. The Russians beat them to it. So on June 16th in 1963, she put on her big giant spacesuit, and it was decided that she would go in the Vostok 6 capsule all by herself, and then the following woman would be going with a man. So this is why she still remains the only woman to do a solo flight, which I think is incredible. But I wanted to just give you a little bit of a rundown of her day before she took off into space, because there's some interesting stuff that happens. So, wake up in the morning feeling fresh, put on your spacesuit type thing. And so they used to get like a bus from where they geared up in their spacesuits and their launch gear, a bus out to the launch pad. And as she was on the bus, one of the people who were in charge of escorting her were telling her that there was like a tradition that all of the men, once they reached the landing pad, would pee on the bus wheel for good luck.
Oh my God.
And this guy was kind of like teasing her, being like, "Oh, I guess you can't do the good luck piss." Which, I'm sorry, why are people peeing on things for luck? That sounds like the first guy got to the launch pad, realized that, oh shit, I better pee just in case, and took a leak on the bus, and someone made it a tradition.
Oh my God, you're completely right. But I also love the whole like, oh, how are you going to pee on the wheel?
What are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Oh my God, it's such a male thing to pee on stuff.
I know. Well, I'll tell you what she did. She yanked down her spacesuit and she peed on that wheel.
Yes! That's my brand of feminism!
Yes, girl.
Yes! Pee-pee poo-poo feminism!
Yes. She bloody did it.
That's what I'm about! I love that.
Yeah, I thought that was such a badass thing, because she's like, watch me do it. And it's probably good she did, because before takeoff, she had to sit in that capsule alone on top of a rocket for 2 hours as they did the countdown.
Oh no.
2 hours. That's insane. I would have peed myself just out of nerves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the entire concept and superiority out of spite peeing. Like, anytime someone pees on something out of spite, I think that's why I have cats.
Because they pee out of spite?
Because they pee when they're, like, trying to express themselves, but just, like, the absolute dominance of being like, I can't pee here, I'm gonna pee here, it is mine now.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate that.
I love it.
Our greyhound has just learnt how to cock her leg from living with a male dog for a couple of months last year. And so now we're so proud of her, because she is gender fluid when it comes to peeing, because she will proudly cock her little leg.
This is the future.
And pee on things.
This is the future liberals
This
want.
is the future.
So she empties her bladder, she gets in the cockpit, and then she's like, I have to wait for 2 hours.
Yeah, so she's just sitting there for 2 hours. And it didn't really say what she was doing. Like, did she have a good book? Was someone chatting to her? It sounds a little horrible. But everything goes well, and it launches, and the capsule's released into low Earth orbit. And I love this next bit. Her nickname for the mission was Seagull. So
good.
She gets up there, and the first thing that she says back down to Earth is, "It is I, Seagull. Everything is fine. I see the horizon." And I'm like, that's amazing.
Oh, that's so cute.
I know. So I think she had a grand time. She was up there for, what was it? I think it was 2 days and 22 hours. Like, it was almost 3 days worth of travel. And she took photos up there with like a film camera out of the capsule, and these photos ended up being able to be used in science experiments to prove that there were aerosol layers in the atmosphere. which I thought was just so cool.
So was this the dawn of like global warming?
Awareness of like our contamination to the atmosphere? I guess it must have been, because until then they hadn't confirmed that there were aerosols, like a significant amount contaminating the atmosphere. So how cool is that? What a legend.
She is a bloody legend.
I think so. Put it on a t-shirt. Bloody legend, Val.
Bloody legend, Val.
Well, this I think gets even better. So she does her trip, has a grand old time. It's time to land, and this is where her parachuting skills come into play. So, but this is before they had designed capsules that you could survive landing in, or capsules with parachutes. So the gist was you fall back to Earth, and when you're at a few thousand feet above the ground, you yeet yourself out of the capsule and shoot your own parachute out. And
okay, what if you were in the middle of the ocean?
Yes, very good point. So they pretty much knew kind of where she was going to land based on how fast everything was going. And of course, you don't want to land in the American zone because you're kind of in the middle of like a Cold War. You're trying to beat each other to space. All that good jazz. So they knew that they aimed her to land somewhere in Russia. But it was a bit windy, and she landed off course, landed near a sweet little village, and the villagers came and helped her get out of her spacesuit and her parachute, and then gave her dinner. So they cooked her a home-cooked dinner, and waited for her to get picked up by the Russian Space Force.
But okay, so she must have had some kind of like radio with her, right? Because she can't text and be like, oops, I'm in this village, like come pick me up.
Wrong turn.
Yeah.
Yes. I think she definitely would have had like a communication, even like a satellite communication.
Because you can't like write a letter. That would take so
No. Imagine waiting like a week in some random's barn for someone to come pick you up.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think I thought that was really cool. And then afterwards, so her and the other female who also went up shortly after her, she was in the capsule with the man. So she didn't solo trip, but she was the second woman in space. So when both of them returned back to, I think, I'm not sure what the city was, but they returned back to the main city where all of the headquarters were. There were 1 million flowers delivered to out the front of the building and along the streets to celebrate the women, which I thought was just beautiful.
That's really nice.
It's adorable.
They have so much respect and pride.
Yeah, very patriotic. And like they did like a grand, like a ticker day parade, like toured her around, and she ended up doing 42 like international tours in the coming years to talk about like space and space flight and women's rights and all this jazz. And she even met the Queen. She met Lizzie.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah. So she had a pretty exciting life. And then in 1977, she decided that being the first woman to space was just not enough. So she went back and she got her PhD in aeronautical engineering, which I thought was just amazing.
Wow. So she must have been in her 40s or 50s then. That would have been, because she was born 37, I think you said.
Yeah. So she would have been like late 30s. Why can I not do math?
Yeah, so okay, yeah, late 30s or like in her 40s. Okay, yeah. I mean, still, like when you're an international celebrity, like I don't know, I can barely get my PhD now, but to also have to like I don't know, be an enormous celebrity, that's amazing.
I know. I thought that was very impressive. She would have been in her 40s, it looked like. But yeah, so that's my girl.
Wow.
I feel really bad that I didn't know her name, that I didn't recognize her name.
No, I think I feel like we're not taught about a lot of women in history, typically. Whether they, like, it's excluded just based on, not necessarily, like, the people who present the history or who write the history, whether it's their biases, but I think it's just a bias in general that that women, especially in the fields of like science and learned women, were definitely not as praised as they are now, which is very sad. But also I'm very proud to be able to talk about a badass woman.
Yeah, I think also maybe too, part of it is like maybe I say we as Americans, but maybe it's something similar. Like maybe there's like this hesitancy to celebrate Russian science still.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know until maybe just a few years ago that a rover or that a spacecraft had landed on Venus and took pictures. I had no idea pictures of the Venetian surface existed.
Yeah, no, the Russian space program, incredible. And I think definitely very much that whole weird propaganda of the space race that remains. I feel even as an Australian, all of our space history is really tied with NASA and with the American side of it.
That's kind of amazing that there's still this reluctance to acknowledge that the Russians did a good job. Or, you know, that they were even first. I don't know, like I could tell you like when the lunar landing was. I could, you know, but it's like even that was like after Val had gone to space.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting to view it, you know, 50 plus years in the future, like in retrospect, and see. Yeah. I think that problem though sadly still exists. I think that you would think that like the final frontier would be this uniting factor. And it's really disappointing that it's still just a cause for competition. I don't know why we can't. What was the word, Drew? What was the word of your thingy?
Reciprocal altruism.
Yeah, why can't we do that all together to go to space? Why can't it be like, oh, I'll share my technology with you and then we'll go to space holding hands?
I think definitely more so now, but still there is that bizarre competitive streak where it just makes so much sense. So just not even in space, just generally in the world. Like if you help someone or help a nation who is in poverty, once you help them alleviate that, they are then able to help you.
Yeah. You would maybe there's this pervasive pessimism that's like, that's not the case, or that, you know, maybe there's this fear that everyone will be taken advantage of in some way.
Yeah. I don't know. We are millennials. We we have seen some bizarre stuff in our short lives.
Yeah.
I just want everyone to love each other.
Yes. Well, I think you summed it up nicely, tying the altruism back to the space lady, and that your lady, she had none. She was a bit of a bitch.
She focused on the wrong things in life, like the gender of teeth.
She would have been like Gossip Girl, but back in the 1700s.
The whole time I was like, I'm totally reading like some kind of scripted MTV reality show that takes place in Versailles.
Amazing.
I do think that would be an incredible show. I would love that.
Me too.
I don't know if this is kind of like a tangent, but I don't know if have you guys ever heard of the Goncourt brothers?
No.
Okay, they were these brothers. So I learned about them because I took a lit class on diaries, like super random.
Yeah.
But they had a meticulously kept, because they were inseparable brothers. They were just, not literally, but they spent
figuratively.
Like, all the time together.
That's not
Figuratively,
yeah.
They hung out together all the time. They did literally everything together. And they wrote in their diaries, like, about their day. And they also lived at Versailles. And it's this, like, amazing... I mean, when I say they did everything together, like, I'm pretty sure they either had to sleep with the same woman or had to sleep with, like, twins. Like, they were, like, those kind... I don't even know if they were twins themselves. I totally forget. But it was, like... one could not be without the other at any given moment. And their diaries talk in like crazy detail about what life was like at Versailles. And it's shit like if the king sneezes or coughs, everybody has to react as if it's the end of the world, because if you don't, then it looks like you don't love the king. So if you're not fainting or vomiting or like freaking out that the king could be sick, then you don't care enough. And it was just this like constant like one-upping of drama and like displays of like horror and delight and like all over the place. And it was just the fakest fucking place on the planet. And I think this would make for an incredible reality show.
Oh my god.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It'd be like a badass Bridgerton type. Back in Versailles. I would absolutely watch that.
Okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out with us. And we hope that you enjoyed some of these strange, let's call them byways that we've ended up on, because I don't feel like it's really the end of any kind of journey, but just a really long and weird one. If you yourself have found that you were zombie walking through the internet and ended up on a page you did not expect, we definitely want to hear about it. We are making a Twitter just for the show. We would love it if you would at us or comment on any of our posts with where you have ended up. Anywhere that you found yourself watching on TikTok at 3 a.m, or anywhere that you have sleepwalked into while you were procrastinating writing your next paper. But for now, this has been Lindsay, Drew, and Sarah. Thank you so much for spending time with us. I love things that eat trash.